Welcome to KURE Sports on ISUtv. Once again, we're back. I'm Taylor Mankle, welcomed by Jake Stevens and Matt Barker here to talk some NBA. The season just concluded yesterday. We'll get to our playoff talk, but first, the most important news that has ever happened this season. Kobe Bryant, the Bean, the Black Mamba, if you dare. What a game. What an ending.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a couple people right here that respect who KB24, KB8, whoever you prefer. What do you think was going through his mind going into this game? You know, this last game ever at Staples, last game ever in a Lakers uniform, last game ever on the professional stage. What do you think his expectations were going into this thing? Did you think he expected to drop 60?
I wouldn't say he expected to drop 60, but I mean, I think he was challenged by Shaq, from what I've understood from last night, that Shaq challenged him to 50 points, and sure, he surpassed that, obviously. I think he just wanted to come out and just play ball for one last time and have fun with it. I think all of us watched the game. We saw him making faces at his wife and his kids, a bunch of random people from around that he knew. I think it's just Kobe just trying to play a fun last game and see how many he can score with it being his last game ever.
And Jake, how much does this game mean to the legacy of Kobe Bryant?
I think it means a lot because he only put up 60 points 4 times in his career.
Yeah.
And if sure enough, one was his last game of his season.
That's huge, yeah.
And if you watch the Lakers at all this season, like, you would not think Kobe had the energy to play the second half or even do a half of what he did last night.
I was expecting him to just peel over and croak after the game. I just expect him to be done. Surprised he was able to get up there and talk, actually.
Had to be straight adrenaline.
It had to be. He put it all out on the court, and that's one of the reasons why I've always loved Kobe. He's one of those players in the NBA that has always put it out on the court. He like he said in his post game, he left no stone unturned. Where does he rank in your all-time list?
Oh boy.
Probably
Anybody.
To me, he's the greatest of all time.
Nice.
I've said this numerous times, and
ahead of MJ.
Okay. Just for the simple fact that if you look back in the '90s, it was Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and that was the only super team.
Sure.
I mean, you had the Jazz with Melo and Stockton. Malone and Stockton, excuse me.
Yep.
And that's really it. Because most teams back then, they had one superstar. Whereas now, it's like every team is like a super team.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And plus, the level of talent today is a lot higher than it was in the '90s.
I agree, and I think, last night, I've been on the fence with that for so long, if Kobe could be considered that or if he's a second place to Michael. I think he's easily a second place, but after last night, for some reason, maybe it just happened last night, so it's still back there, still churning. But I think he's got to be in the conversation for the GOAT, greatest of all time. What do you think, Matt?
I'm gonna say second. I mean, we all grew up on MJ and Kobe around the same time. I mean, just a tad bit different for MJ, but I think Kobe's just it's a very, very close second. I'm not gonna. And you know how much of a Laker fan and a Kobe fan I am. Sure. So I hate saying it that he's a second, but I think MJ just was better, but Kobe, by all means, is a great second pick.
Yeah, and he's really the only person who could ever rival Michael Jordan. His play so similar, his style, determination was so similar. I don't think anybody can get to that level where they rival the greatest of all time, being MJ. There
was also something a lot of people don't realize, that Jordan can never beat Detroit in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Jordan didn't even win a ring without Pippen.
Yeah, and
a lot of people don't even realize that. That's just a fact, though.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. I mean, Kobe, he's never had that kryptonite.
Yeah.
He's never had that kryptonite in his career. Granted, there were hard times when he didn't have as good players and whatnot, especially in recent years, but you got to respect the man for what he's done. So let's get on to our next and last NBA topic of the segment. Let's break down some playoffs. We each kind of threw together a bracket because it's obviously set now. The season ending last night. Obviously, some other big news, minus Kobe, the Warriors winning 73. That's a big deal. But we're just going to go straight into the playoff picture. We'll start with you, Matt. Let's look through your playoff predictions. And who do you think is going to get to the end? Who's going to win all those games leading up to it?
Well, as you can see by the graphic, I have the Warriors over the Rockets in the first round, the Clippers over the over the Trailblazers, the Spurs over the Grizz, and the Thunder over the Mavericks. And then over on the east side, I have Cleveland over Detroit. Boston, just barely, maybe like a game, just barely over the Hawks. Your Raptors over the Pacers, of course, and the Heat over the Hornets.
Okay.
So,
you can finish yours off. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and then as Cleveland comes forward, just thrashing Boston 4-0.
4-0.
Yeah, I'm going to it's a sweep there.
Boston's tough, man.
Toronto over the Heat. Of course, Golden State Warriors over the Clippers. And the hardest game, but the most, I think, fun game that we might see is going to be the Spurs and the Thunder. I think that's going to be a fun series to watch. But the better one, of course, that if it happens, is going to be the Spurs and the Warriors. I have the Warriors over the Spurs, and then
you got the Rap.
I have the Raptors over the Cavaliers. I'm a fan of the Raptors right now. How well they're playing. You convinced me, Taylor, throughout the past 2 weeks.
I've done well.
So I just think the chemistry between the Raptors is something to beat with the Cavaliers, and I mean, that team chemistry, you're going to need that in the playoffs.
Yeah, sure.
You can't have a broken team chemistry at this time. And then I think the Warriors, the Warriors are just too good this year.
Okay.
So I think they're going to repeat.
Swaggy, why don't we run through your bracket here?
Well, first we have Golden State and Houston. Like this is to me, it's an interesting matchup. This could go 7 games, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think.
My word.
I mean, that's all depends on Dwight. It all depends on Dwight.
Wow.
It all depends on Dwight.
Yeah, their whole season is dependent on Dwight. See
James,
how that goes.
James Harden and Jason Terry are going to get theirs. And then next you have the Clippers in Portland. I mean, Dame Dalla, Damian Lillard, McCollum, that's like their whole team. I don't trust Noah Vonleh in their whole front court.
Okay.
It's not going to be enough for Griffin and Jordan. And then for the Thunder, that's going to be a sweep.
Over the Mavs. Yeah, I can see that.
I don't find that competition at all. And then the Spurs of Memphis. I mean, that's going to go like 5 games, if not a sweep as well. I mean, Kawhi is one of the best two-way players in the league, if not the best two-way player. And then old Cleveland. I feel like Cleveland lucked out in the playoffs because they don't play Miami or Toronto until the East Conference Finals. I feel like they caught a huge break with that. And then they'll probably Toronto will be sluggish the first round, but then like Barker said, Boston, it's going to be 7 games. It's going to be a boring matchup. Atlanta, Boston doesn't intrigue me at all.
No.
Then Toronto and Indiana. That's the best, probably the best backcourt besides Clay and Steph in Toronto with Lowry and DeRozan.
Yeah, agreed.
And then Miami and Charlotte. I like Miami, but I don't think they can get past Toronto the next round. I haven't beaten Charlotte, but in the next round, I think they'll lose to Toronto. And probably Dwayne's going to give out probably at least 4 or 5 games. Okay.
Now you keep going. It gets pretty interesting here.
This is where me and Matthew here beg to differ because I think
beg to differ.
There's no way Toronto's front court can keep up with the Cleveland.
That's
their flaw.
They have in the matchups thus far this year.
Giannis is all right, but they're not going to beat LeBron 4 times. Let's be real. I don't
know about that.
Okay.
I don't know about that.
That's fine.
And then we have the Thunder and Spurs over there, and Westbrook's most exciting player in the NBA. But that'll probably go 7 games.
Okay.
It's exciting, not best.
And then your finals matchup.
Triple-double machine now. Come on.
Yeah. You got the Cavs and the Spurs.
I do have the Cavs and the Spurs.
Why do you have the Spurs winning?
Come on.
Aldridge, Kawhi, Ginobili, Parker, and Duncan. They've been resting. They're going to be good to go in the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't see if the Spurs do find a way to beat Golden State.
Pop's going to find a way.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I don't think anybody can beat.
They just lost their last 2 to
the
them.
Warriors in a 7-game series.
They're resting, right? They didn't really care.
I mean, who cares?
To me, that's irrelevant.
Okay.
I don't think, even though they have Greg Popovich, I don't think anybody can beat the Warriors in a 7-game series. So we'll look at my bracket now. Starting off, as we always do, with the Warriors. I've got them winning in the first round. But I've also got the Trailblazers winning in their first round matchup. I like, granted, you are right, they are kind of just two-legged horse, if you will, with
Yeah,
McCollum and Lillard. But I think Lillard will show up really well in this playoffs, and I think Portland will be behind them. We've got the Thunder moving on, as well as the Spurs. I'll just finish off the West side. I actually have the Thunder beating the Spurs. I'm going offense here into the Western Finals with the Warriors, meeting up with them there. And I think, because I really do think, I don't think the Spurs can beat the Warriors in a 7-game series. I think the team that the most likely would be the Thunder. I think I just think you got to keep up with the offense. Defense helps, but you got to keep up with the offense. I've got the Warriors moving to the finals. On the East side, I've got the Cavs winning in the first round pretty soundly. I actually have the Hawks, unlike you two, beating Boston. I think it'll be a lengthy series. Granted, Boston's played good, but if Jay Crowder's not playing well, they lose. They lose a lot, and he's still a little dinged up.
Isaiah Thomas, that's all you need.
That's not all you need.
Not
That's not all you need against the Hawks D. Come on.
Yeah.
And then I've got the Hornets actually coming out on that bottom side. They'll face off against the Heat. I mean
Dude, Miami's tough. Whiteside's one of the best players in the league.
yeah, but you got Kemba Walker out there. He's been doing well. They've got
Yeah,
the role
Dragic,
players.
he's been playing well.
Yeah,
He lost a tooth the other night. Did you see that? He kept playing. So, I mean,
Bosch playing really well too last few months.
Yeah.
And then I had Toronto moving on as well. I think Toronto will beat the Hornets, and the Cavs will beat the Hawks into the Eastern Conference Final. I do think that Toronto can keep up with the Cavs. I think what Matt said is a good point. Chemistry means a lot to those teams. You've seen troubles with the Cavs all year. Granted, I think LBJ will be on his game, trying to get them to another finals appearance. But I think Toronto, they got to show something this year, and I think this is the year they can potentially make a run in the playoffs. But I do think when they meet, or if they meet the Warriors in the finals, I think it's no contest. Warriors win. I don't think it matters who they're up against.
I think whoever wins the West is going to win. Do you agree on that?
I think it's a safe bet.
That's
honestly.
a safe bet because
I think
it's going to be the Warriors.
You don't have no faith in Kawhi?
I like Kawhi
faith.
Leonard, but he can't beat
Just
the
not
Warriors.
against the Warriors.
Best defense player in the league.
If the Warriors,
Yeah, sure, but he
if the
can't beat
Warriors
the Warriors by
and Spurs play,
himself.
I mean, of course not. We have the team though.
I don't think they have the team to do it. They can't keep up with them.
they're too quick.
Too quick.
Last night,
Spurs
dude.
are too old.
Just
You
last
know,
night's.
They have the mixture between the youth and the
I don't know.
veterans.
I don't think
That's
the
what makes them
Utah's
so
good
great, in my
enough. They're a
opinion.
great team, but they're facing a greater team. One of the
Aldridge
greatest
is finally coming
teams.
along too, which is really nice to
He
see.
can't move though.
I don't know.
He has
I
to get
don't
back
know.
on defense. You saw those passes last night.
They would need him to shoot 100% from the field. They would need him not to miss because they're going to have to go inside against the Warriors, and I don't know.
Danny Green.
Oh, God.
That's all we have time for on this NBA segment of KUR Sports on ISUtv. We're going to send it to a break. Stay there because we've got NHL coming up right after this.
I used to be so happy, but without you here, I feel so low. I watched you as you left, but I could never seem to let you go. 'Cause once upon a time, you were my everything. It's clear to see that time hasn't changed a thing. It's buried deep inside me, but I feel there's something you should know. I will never forget you. You will always be by my side. From the day that I met you, I knew that I would love you till the day I die. 'Cause I will never want much more, and in my heart I will always be sure. I will never forget you, and you will always be by my side till the day I die.
Welcome back to KURE Sports on ISUtv. I'm Taylor Mankle, along with Michael Murrell and resident NHL expert Mary Rominger, back on the airwaves. All right, let's jump into it. It's playoff time. It's an exciting time for the NHL. The Cup is within a grasp. So let's kind of look over some of the matchups to start this off. What are some that really stick out to you, some of them that intrigue you?
Well, we'll start with the West, and I think the Dallas Stars and the Minnesota Wild are one that's really notable because the Stars had a fantastic season with 50 wins on the season, and it'll be interesting to see because they don't have much postseason success. So we'll see if the Wild can bring in their experience into it, and then obviously the Blackhawks and Blues is a notable matchup. Because the Blackhawks are the reigning champions, so everyone wants to see, are they going to repeat?
Didn't get off to a good start, though.
Did not, and we'll get into
that. We will get to that,
and then Ducks and Predators. Ducks have always been a competitive team in the regular season, not much in the offseason.
Yeah, and the Predators they're an interesting team.
Yeah.
It's hard to read the Predators, especially going into the playoffs.
Exactly. And then the Kings and Sharks. Kings have won the Cup 2 times in the last 3 years, so all eyes are on them. In the East, Washington Capitals and Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah.
The Capitals have had an amazing season.
Absolutely.
Won the President's Trophy. All eyes are on them. But the Flyers have had more postseason success.
Sure.
So we'll see how that goes. Rangers and Penguins. Penguins took the win last night, so they lead the series 1-0. Panthers and Islanders. Panthers had as well a great season, so we'll see if they can bring in some experience that they don't really have into the playoffs. And then lastly, we have the Red Wings and the Lightning. And the Red Wings are always in the playoffs every year, but they don't do much in the playoffs, and they never really get past the second round. So Lightning have a lot of key elements to take on the Red Wings. So, yeah.
So let's ask the question. We're getting it out there now just in case some stuff happens. She's a Kings fan over here. So we got to ask the question, will the trend continue? It's gone Kings, Hawks, Kings, Hawks.
Kings, Hawks, Kings, Hawks.
So,
crazy.
Will it continue, or will someone else from the West, or maybe someone, we'll go with Michael here first, see what he thinks. Will someone from the West, someone else from the West take it, or will someone from the East take it this year?
Well, there's a lot of teams in the West that can compete this year. You've seen all year, there's a lot of teams that compete. The Stars and the Blues have both had incredible seasons, and even the Ducks have had a good season. They kind of stole They stole that division from the Kings on the last day. I know that kind of kills Mary over there.
I forgot about that. Wow, thanks.
But the West is kind of wide open. Then you go over to the East, and while everyone's looking at the Capitals, there's some good teams on that side. With the Penguins, have just been storming into the playoffs. They've been playing great hockey. So that's just kind of something to look at. But I honestly think that the Blackhawks are going to win. Even with that loss yesterday, they played so good all year. They've been very consistent. And you even saw it the last night against the Blues. While the Blues played great hockey, you saw a lot of times on power plays the Blackhawks were just stagnant without Duncan Keith. They were pressuring Seabrook heavily, and they just couldn't get anything going without him. And I think you're going to see a very different series with Duncan Keith on the ice.
Okay.
So he says the Hawks. So
he does.
The trend will not continue.
No.
Not the back and forth, but one of those two teams.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Will the trend continue back and forth, or will one of those teams end up with the Cup, or somebody completely different?
I think for sure it'll stay in the Western Conference. If I am going to bet money on anything this postseason, it'll be that the West will take the Cup again, just because they are so physical. And the only reason why they wouldn't is they'll beat each other up so much before the East can even get to them. I do think the trend will continue because not having anything to do with the trend, but just because the Kings alone, it just so happens that they are having the best regular season that they've ever had. And I think that will be a big contribution to what they can bring to the postseason.
Yeah. Sadly, as a Hawks fan, I think the trend will continue as well. We'll get to picks next, and you'll see that. So we'll start with you, Mary. I know you had a couple brackets. Which would you like to start with? Your favorites or your objective picks?
That sounds silly when you say it like that. Okay. We'll start with my favorites.
Okay.
I have the second round, Dallas against Chicago, and then the Kings and the Ducks, and I think the conference final will be the Hawks and the Kings.
Okay.
And then the Kings will move on. And then in the East, I have the Capitals and Penguins in the second round, and the Panthers and Lightning to go on to the conference final for Capitals and Lightning in the end for the Capitals and the Kings to face in the Cup final. And then I have the Kings winning it all. And the reason why I call that one my quote-unquote favorites is because a lot of these picks have a lot to do with the regular season play.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people like to do. They like to bring in what the teams brought from the regular season into the postseason, although that's not how it goes with NHL or hockey in general. So that's why you'll see a lot of brackets like this. And I think it's very valid that they all look like this.
It's almost a chalk bracket. I mean, the only one out there that isn't, it looks like the Blackhawks over there on the western side.
Yeah.
Michael, let's go to you. You don't have the luxury of a graphic to help you out, but tell us about maybe even just some of the matchups that you can give us picks for.
Yeah, so first off, I think the best series, especially based on what happened yesterday, of the first round is going to be the Blackhawks Blues. You saw, if anyone watched the hockey game, that was an incredible hockey game. Only one goal was scored, but it was very exciting. Every team had a ton of opportunities, and it was incredibly well goaltended. You know, that has the making of a 7-game series. That's several overtime games, so that's going to be a good series. But if I had to see who's going to move on, first off, you have to talk about the Capitals. You know, they've been good for so long, but they haven't had any postseason success.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I don't think it's going to happen this year. With how well the Penguins have been playing in March and April, I think the Penguins are going to knock off the Capitals and even make a run to the finals.
Second round, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also think, I said it earlier, I think the Blackhawks are going to make a run to the postseason.
Okay. I can dig it. We'll go with my bracket here. See what I got. I got a couple differences from Mary's, and then we'll get to Mary's objective picks.
It'll be quick.
It'll be quick. But first off, for Dallas against the Wild, I've got the Stars there to take that one. I think they'll face off against the Hawks. I think the Hawks will bounce back from that first round loss. I think just the offense, team chemistry of Chicago is really playing well. And back to Dallas, I think there's just an overall better team than the Wild. I think that bodes better, in the first round than further in the playoffs where that experience really comes in handy. And then looking at the bottom part of that Western side, I've got the Ducks playing just incredible in the second half of the season, making a great comeback. And then I do have the Kings beating the Sharks pretty easily in that first round. I've got them matching up against the Ducks in that next round. I have the Kings winning that one as well. Kings, like you said, Mary, one of the best seasons, if not the best season they've ever had. And it's hard to stop that force, as I have them too finishing off the West side. I do have them beating the Hawks in that Western final to get to the Stanley Cup final. Now over on the other side, I've got the Capitals making a run here. I think, granted, they have not shown up in the playoffs recently, but you got to start somewhere, so why not this year? One of their best year ever.
Year.
So I think they're going to beat the Flyers pretty soundly in that first round. I think they will actually face off against the Rangers. Got a little upset factor over there against Pittsburgh.
Does the injury to Lundqvist change that a little bit at all, or?
It was too late. It was too late when I made the pick, but we'll go with it anyways. But I have the Capitals beating them pretty easily. I think the Panthers can give the Capitals a really good test over there in the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that is something to look out for. The Panthers, just like the Capitals, having fantastic regular seasons. I think that will potentially be one of the best series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And then I have the Capitals moving on to the finals to face off against the Kings, which eventually goes to Mary's Kings.
I completely agree. I would say we could just skip my second pick.
Okay.
The biggest difference was I had the Florida Panthers going on to the final.
Oh, okay.
Just because I have some weird reasoning behind that. They have had no postseason success. I think 20 years it's been, and they've only been in the playoffs two times. But I think they have Jaeger and Yager, and Yager is immaculate. And just like the argument would be for the Capitals, Ovechkin finally getting his cup, I think it's time that Yager has some postseason success. Sorry, I always say Jaeger, but it's not correct. Okay.
All right, so let's jump to the games happening tonight. Got a couple tonight. I know there's at least one that you're pretty excited about, Mary. Care to talk about that one first?
Well, the Kings and the Sharks do face off in Staples Center tonight. It'll be their fourth meeting in the last 6 years. crazy. The Kings are 2-3-0, so the Sharks have the regular season advantage.
Yeah.
But in the postseason, the Sharks don't have the advantage. The Kings do, clearly. I think the most notable thing about this one is that Martin Jones, former LA Kings backup goaltender, will make his first playoff appearance for the Sharks. So when you're going up against Martin Jones, who hasn't made an appearance in the playoffs, and then you have Quick on the other side, who is just an unbelievable goaltender, MVP, I really do believe it'll be a sweep.
A sweep.
I have jumped ahead there, but
Yeah, you did. That's all right. That's all right. But it'll be hard to follow up that performance at Staples Center last night from Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
But we'll see how the Kings. We'll see how they go. What else do we have tonight?
Tonight we have the Lightning and just kidding. They played last night. Florida and the New York Islanders are going to battle it. The New York Islanders have had the biggest droughts in the playoffs and Stanley Cup drought. It's been 23 years. Their goaltender, since Halak is injured, their goaltender has only performed in the playoffs for 40 minutes as a relief in 2010. And the Panthers have Luongo, who is incredibly experienced and played with the Vancouver Canucks when they were having some postseason success. So that'll be a notable game. Then we have Washington and Philadelphia, the Capitals.
Yep.
Huge favorite in that one. But that is not to be slept on because the Flyers have had more postseason success. When played against them, they have seen each other in the postseason a lot. Then we have the Stars and Wild, and then Kings and Sharks, and then Anaheim and Nashville.
A lot of games to look out for
Yes.
here tonight as the playoffs are underway. It's exciting stuff here. Thank you, Mary, and thank you, Michael, for hopping on to
Thank
talk
you.
a little NHL. It's always good to have it on KURE Sports on ISUtv. We're going to take a quick break and be back with some MLB talk right after this.
Back to the street where we began, feeling as good as lovers can, Yeah, we're feeling so good, thinking of things we shouldn't read. It looks like the end of history, as we know. It's just the end of the world. Back to the street where we began, feeling as good as love you can. Into a place where thoughts can bloom, into a room where it's 9 in the afternoon. And we know that it could be, and we know that it should. And you know that you feel it too, 'cause it's 9 in the afternoon, and your eyes are the size of the moon. You're good 'cause you can, so you do. We're feeling so good, just the way that we do when it's 9 in the afternoon. Your eyes are the size of the moon. You're good 'cause you can, so you do. We're feeling so good. Back to the street, down to our feet, losing the feeling of feeling unique. Do you know what I mean? Back to the place where we used to say, man, it feels good to feel this way. And now I know what I mean. Back to the street, back to the place, back to the room where it all began. Back to the room where it all began. 'Cause it's 9 in the afternoon. Your eyes are the size of the moon. You're good 'cause you can, so you do. We're feeling so good.
By the magic of TV, we're back. Taylor Mankle along with Michael Murrell, he remains. Alex Crowl, he joins us. It's time for MLB on KURE Sports on ISUtv. As of course, KURE Sports is a proud partner of ISUtv and vice versa, we like to think. But, it varies. All right, so let's jump into MLB talk. First duty we had to do was to create a perfect lineup. I went just pitchers. You guys went the full lineup and rotations. So we had to create a perfect lineup of active MLB players. I'll go first here for my pitchers. First off, for the starters, We have Clayton Kershaw at the 1. I think you got to put him in there for your rotation. We're talking players here, not playoffs. It's okay. Not those players either, but you get the gist. It's it's a different one. But we got Clayton Kershaw. We've got Jake Arrieta of the Cubs. I think I threw Madison Bumgarner in there. And the last one is let's see here. That's a good question. Wish I had the graphic to back it up, but we'll leave it as it is. And then we go over to I also put in a couple closers in there. Put Kimbrel in there as well as.
Pretty sure you put Aroldis Chapman in there.
Yeah, I put Chapman in there. That is correct. Over with the Yankees now. I hated putting a Red Sox and a Yankee in my lineup, but it had to be done.
He's out 30 games, but he can throw hard.
He can. He's a great pitcher. All right, we'll go to Mankle. He's got a full lineup, of course, all the players and your pitchers as well. Let's get into it.
Yeah. So for my starting lineup, I have Jose Altuve as the leadoff man. You know, he gets on base. He's a great guy. But a lot of times when I was constructing this lineup, what I was really looking at is a guy that could hit and a guy that, especially for average, and he could also field. You know, defense has been something that's put on a real premium in the MLB over recent years. You've seen it a lot with Hayward getting that huge deal with the Cubs, even though he's not always the best hitting outfielder. He puts up great fielding. So I have Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, so two Astros that started out, and then I have Mike Crowl and Bryce Harper, probably the two best players in MLB right now, hitting at 3 or 4. Then I have Paul Goldschmidt, Manny Machado, and then Hayward and Molina and Kershaw. I have Molina in there, even though his hitting has dropped off over the last couple of years, just because of how well he handles the rotation for the Cardinals. You know, no one does it better. No one's done it better. Yeah. You know, how he does it, and that's just so important to a team. And then for the starting rotation, number 1 starter has to be Clayton Kershaw. Yeah. You know, he's the best He's the best pitcher. I almost went Jake Arrieta, but the sample size was too small. But I have Jake Arrieta at 2, and I have David Price, Chris Sale, who it's just a shame he's on the White Sox.
Michael, that was the last one. But go on.
It's just a shame because Chris Sale plays for such an awful team. Then Dallas Keuchel. And at closer, I have Trevor Rosenthal. Even though over the past few years he hasn't been the best closer, he's just shown signs, and I think he's really going to have a breakout year at closer. He set the Cardinals record for saves last year, and I think he's poised to having an even better year this year.
Crowl, Red Sox heavy?
No, not too bad.
Okay, let's see it.
I had to go Red Sox heavy in a couple different departments.
Sure.
I guess I'll just start with the Red Sox I have on there. I do have Poppy at DH. I didn't feel like throwing a hitter in there. Although if I did have a hitter, I think you had to go Madison Bumgarner nowadays if you had to throw a hitter into pitch. But other than that, I have David Price as one of my pitchers in my rotation, and Craig Kimbrel. Although he had a rough start in his opener at Fenway, he got it done last night. 3 strikeouts and the save for them. So those are my Red Sox that made my team. But then right into my lineup, I have Mike Trout leading off in center.
Sure.
Drew Donaldson at third in the second slot
throw him a bone.
That's where he is for the Blue Jays, so I figured he'd be comfortable hitting there for a full spectrum team. And then Bryce Harper, statistically the best player in baseball last season. He had a grand slam today that broke scoreboard light.
Yep.
So, that'll get it done. That'll get it done. I have Paul Goldschmidt, very underrated player because of how good Harper is, cleaning up there. I have Stanton moved over to left for my lineup, Giancarlo. He hits bombs. He
does. It's true.
And then, like I had mentioned, David Ortiz at the DH, his final season. He's tearing it up even this year in his final year. It's been awesome. And then I have Posey catching just because he's a little better offensively than Yadier. But, I mean, it's hands down Yadier Molina defensively. And then Robbie Cano, my second base guy. I love him because he left the Yankees. Still loving him this day because he left the Yankees. And, of course, Carlos Correa, one of our favorites on this show at shortstop. And then over to the rest of my rotation, guys that we had already mentioned. Clayton Kershaw, the best pitcher in the game. Madison Bumgarner, David Price I already mentioned. Chris Sale. White Sox are 5-2. They're right at the top of that division.
It's a pretty small sample size.
Very small sample size. And they haven't played anybody.
No, they haven't played anybody.
And then I have Arrieta getting in there over a guy like a Keuchel. I want to see more from him. Making it in there over Scherzer, too. I think those are the two that I would leave out. But I still have Arrieta, and then I already mentioned Craig Kimbrel. Statistically the best closer in the league.
I do find it interesting that an AL guy included the DH, whereas I didn't as an NL guy.
That is interesting.
That is
very interesting. Although I did throw in the pitcher still. I did say if the pitcher had to pitch, you got to have Mad Bum.
Mad Bum. All right. So a couple weeks ago, we made our playoff predictions, and there's baseball that has happened in that gap. So we posed the question, would you want to change anything? We'll start off with you, Crowl. Looking back at your original playoff bracket, is there anything you see out there that you'd want to change?
There's a few things I'm not liking so much.
Uh-oh.
First of all, the Cleveland Indians being a wild card pick. I haven't seen a lot out of them.
That was a bold move.
It was interesting. I still like that team. I still think they have very good pitching and a good lineup. But compared to some other teams that are doing very well, I think an Orioles team is obviously playing much better than Cleveland is right now. And I didn't give the Blue Jays much credit either, which brings me to the other thing I'm not feeling fantastic about my own team, the Boston Red Sox. The Orioles are playing really good baseball. Obviously, their first loss of the season was last night. And then the Blue Jays are playing good baseball too. They're even with the Red Sox still. That would be what I would kind of pick around with a little bit on the AL end. Over to the NL, I do have some issues with my wild card picks. I still like all my divisional picks, but the Cardinals are fine for now. I want to see a little more out of them. I'm more concerned with the Mets. Their lineup has looked terrible. The pitching's always going to be there, even though DeGrom just hit the DL.
Yeah.
Harvey's coming off the season-ending injury. So I don't really like them very much. I think Pittsburgh's playing good baseball. I think they're going to be in the mix. And I don't know about the Mets. And the Dodgers are playing a little better than I expected, too. And I think we had all said that. That their rotation is doing much better than we imagined they were going to. So a little nitpicky there.
Yeah, sure.
Mostly the wild cards that I tinkered with. The only one I'm having an issue with is my Sox, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Getting that division, yeah. Mine are pretty similar. You know, I did not give the Dodgers enough credit, that's for sure. And I think the biggest thing on mine would be I gave the Angels way too much credit to start.
That's the biggest thing on yours? How about the 0-9
yeah,
Twins?
I forgot about that one too. That is definitely the biggest one. The 0-9 Twins. Yikes, guys. Come on. Young Guns were playing real well at the end of last year. Looked like a decent pick going in.
It didn't look bad.
Whew. Man, that's ugh. That's ugh right there. That's no good. That's no good, Twins. That's definitely something I would like to change. As for divisionals other than the Twins, I don't think those are looking bad.
No.
The Mets need to improve a little. I still like the Pirates. I think they're a fantastic team, and I never picked the Cubs.
Good. That's good. That's
Mankle.
So I'm not going to change anything.
Oh,
I was tinkering. I don't know if I changed.
Yeah.
tinkering.
I mean, there's some teams that haven't looked perfect on my bracket, but at the same time, we're a week and a half in.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, everyone was hitting the doomsday button after the Cardinals.
The Twins, you might want to.
After the Cardinals started 0-3.
Twins might be the doomsday.
So there's just and people were like freaking out. The Reds started 5-0 or something like that.
Yeah,
I mean, those teams aren't going to be able to sustain that over the long term. The Cardinals aren't going to be like 60 and 100, 62 and 100.
Yeah.
At the same time as the Reds aren't going to win 100 games. It's just too small of a sample size to make any rash judgments upon the teams. Except maybe the Twins. 0-9 is ridiculous. That's.
What was that stat you told me the other day, Crowl? 0-7 has never.
0-7's never made the playoffs, I think it's like double-digit teams that have started 7-0 have made the World
11.
Series. 11 of them.
11 of them have made the World Series. So get it together, Twins. Come on. Okay. So let's jump to stat of the day. We were supposed to bring a stat, each of us one or a couple stats. I know you got a few. You're trying to cheat the system here, and then we determine who has the stat of the day. We'll do that first, and then we'll finish up with your top 5 favorite players. So give me one, or I guess
I'll just go with my one.
Okay,
and
go
then
with your one
got a little
stat.
bit of time,
Stat
I'll
of
go
the
with some
day.
other ones. My stat of the day. It's Pete Rose's birthday today. His 75th. Guy that needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
It's absurd that he's not. I know he's had some off-the-field issues,
Come on.
but he's a top 5 player in the history of the game. Marlins Ichiro Suzuki, very successful player. Everybody knows he gets on base, solid hitter. Ichiro's career on-base percentage is .356. Pete Rose in his very final season's OBP was .363, better than Ichiro's career-wise. This is a guy that is always on base in Ichiro, and for Pete Rose at the very tail end of his career to still have in this final season a better OPP than Ichiro has full-time, I think is an amazing statistic.
That's a Hall of Famer right there. That's a Hall of Famer.
Both. Both are Hall of Famers.
Both, yeah, both are. I'll go with mine here. I went with Bryce Harper. At 23 years old, 181 days, Bryce Harper, as of today, is officially the 8th youngest player in MLB to hit 100 home runs with that grand slam that broke the scoreboard. So there you go.
It's good.
That's good.
I like
He's
that
only
one.
8th youngest?
Only 8th youngest, yeah.
That's surprising.
That
They're
was
8
surprising.
younger.
Yeah.
They're 8 younger.
All right. Mine is a Cardinals stat.
Of course
yeah.
it is.
I should have said something.
All right, you did have 3 Red Sox in your
That's
lineup.
true.
That's true.
And if I remember right, you picked your Raptors to go to the finals.
That's a good pick.
It's
That's
not
a good pick.
But I have a Cardinals stat. A couple days ago in a game, they had, I believe, against the Braves, they had a pinch hit home run, a pinch hit home run in the 7th, a pinch hit home run to tie it, a pinch hit home run to give a lead in the 8th, and then another pinch hit home run in the 9th. That is the first time in MLB history that an MLB team has hit 3 pinch hit home runs in one game.
That is a good stat. I'll give him
good
credit
stat.
for that one.
It's a good
I'll give
stat.
him credit for that one, absolutely.
Stat of the day. Michael Murrell, congratulations.
give it to him.
I don't like it because it's Cardinals, but congrats.
That's a good
Congrats.
stat.
All right, now we'll finish off MLB segment here with your top 5 players not on your team as of right now, MLB active players. Go ahead, Michael.
All right, so I went with a lot of young guns because
Sure.
they are the future.
They're exciting,
and they're all fun to watch, really. Carlos Correa and Jose Altuve, that's just a duo. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. And then Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. I mean, there's not much to be said. They're the 2 best players in baseball.
Absolutely.
And it's not even close. And they're both under 25. It's crazy. And then Manny Machado. I think
I like that too.
He's a great player. He's
He
fun
is.
to watch. You know, when he's healthy, he's just an incredible defensively and offensively.
I like that. I like that.
I'm mad he didn't make my list now after seeing that.
Machado?
Yeah.
He made my list. So my 5. Machado's on there. I've got some young guns as well. I threw in Bryce Harper. I've got Andrew McCutchen. I got Joey Bats. Love it. Love it. And then I've got Stanton. He hits bombs.
I like Janko a lot.
He hit bombs.
Stay healthy. He's one of the most fun players in the game.
I love bombs. He hits bombs. You know. All right, Crowl. Who are your 5?
I try to stay away from my division, my Red Sox, but I have troubles with it because there's so many good players still within that division. I picked 2 of them. I picked Crush Davis, who I wish so much that the Red Sox would have given him some money, but they already got too much out there. He would have been an unbelievable replacement for David Ortiz coming this next season. I also have Evan Longoria in there. Got his autograph when he was really young. Just been a great player. He's been that franchise's player. If they didn't have him, I don't know where they'd be. I got McCutchen.
There you go.
I remember watching him grow up and play too. Just such a phenomenal athlete. And it's crazy how he's able to perform with the swing he has. His timing is just perfect. It's unbelievable. I've watched Christian Yelich grow up and play too for Miami. Big fan of that young player. I think he turns it on this year. Michael Brantley, who's hurt for Cleveland, but I've been a big fan of him. He's a very underrated player in the game.
Yeah, that's a really good pick. I also wish the Cardinals had signed Chris Davis. That would have been nice. There's 29 other
He's a good
teams
player.
that wish they had Chris Davis.
I can't believe the Orioles were messing around so much with getting him his contract. I think he
Worked
deserved
out.
it. It did work out.
Worked out.
It's worked out pretty well.
They're doing pretty well so far.
Yes, they
All
are.
right, that's all we've got time for on our MLB segment. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Michael, for stopping by. We'll be back with Andreas, Haffar, and myself talking some football right after this.
Bless my
we're not.
Nope. Warbucks are still
We're
on.
live.
We're live.
We're live.
We're going to talk some football.
We're doing it
baby.
live. Let's
Doing
just
it
talk
live.
really loud.
Bill O'Reilly. I
All
can
right.
talk really loud.
Yeah,
that's-
we're loud people without the mics, so this is probably just hell for all of you out there.
Yes, we apologize for
But
that.
welcome back to KURE Sports on ISUtv. Taylor Mankle and Andreas Haffar here. Time to talk some football. Start off with your team, Liverpool.
There is no better thing to talk about right now, subjectively, I guess, than Liverpool's
I'll give you that.
amazing, thrilling match today.
I'm normally the one to hate your Liverpool, just to hate Liverpool.
Just to spite me. But today,
that was a game.
Today,
that was a match.
Crazy comeback.
Tell them about it.
They go 1-1. It was 1-1 in the previous leg over in Dortmund.
Sure.
And so Liverpool got that crucial away goal. Today, they went down 2-0 in less than 10 minutes. So that's 2 away goals for Dortmund. Not looking good for Liverpool at that point. So Origi gets one at the start of the second half. Okay. Then Royce scores one for Dortmund. It's 3-1 Dortmund, so it'd be 4-2, I believe, aggregate. Just looks down and out. Not quite.
so fast.
Not quite. One of the craziest, not just EuroLeague, in general, European football comebacks. We got Coutinho who scores in the 66th. Then Sacco from a set-piece header, 77. 90th plus 1. Another center back. Lovren scores. Unbelievable today. 4-3 on the night. 5-4 total. And I was in class and I missed most of it, but it is just, I watched everyone's telling me about it, and it was just as thrilling. So they are on to the semifinals. In addition, we have Shakhtar Donetsk. They won 6-1 on aggregate. Villarreal go through 6-3. Cedric Bakumbu, he's in fine form. He's a great Congolese striker who is a major threat. And then Sevilla, they won in a PK shootout 5-4 against Bilbao. So you have Shakhtar Donetsk, Villarreal, and Sevilla, and Liverpool. They will be Europa League semi-finalists, and we'll see. It's interesting stuff.
Should be interesting. All right, so let's jump over to the Champions League. I know we got some news
dial it
over
back.
there. So dial it back to the
Dial
Champions
it back
League.
to Tuesday /
Bring it back.
Wednesday. We
Bring
went
it
from
back.
excitement, well, more exciting stuff, believe it or not. It's football. That's how it does. Tuesday, Real Madrid. They went down shockingly last week.
That's right.
2-0 to Wolfsburg. So they needed a big result.
Yeah.
Who comes up? Cristiano Ronaldo with a hat trick. His 3rd hat trick of the competition this season. That's the first player to ever do that. He broke a bunch of records yesterday. With 16 goals now. He's one shy of tying the most single Champions League scoring in a season, which is 17 set by him, of course.
Yeah.
And this is Real Madrid's 6th consecutive semifinals. So they went through in stunning fashion. Great stuff. Now, we go to Atletico and Barcelona. Shock. I mentioned this. I know I mentioned this in previous shows, but like Barcelona, this is not a time. It's not the time that they want to be losing.
No,
they went off their winning streak was ended by Real Madrid, and then they squeaked by. I would say squeaked by Atletico in the first leg. Then they lost to Real Sociedad at the weekend, and it's not looking good.
No.
It's the worst time to be thrown out of your game. So Atletico won 2-0. At the Vicente Calderon, Antoine Griezmann, rather. He scored 2. There was two penalties I want to talk about. One that was given was Iniesta, and he definitely handled the ball. The argument was, and this was the lead up to the second goal, was should he have been red carded because of his goal scoring opportunity? Me, perhaps, I think, yeah. I mean, I believe he was also on a yellow card already, so that, for me. But the penalty was given nonetheless. Now, the next controversial call, in which we'll have a graphic of, is of the penalty that wasn't called. And that was going the other way. As you can see, here is Iniesta, and that is Gabi with his hand. They called this outside the box. As you can clearly see here, I know it's a little blurry. Not so much. I mean, the referee, he only has one chance to look at it, but that is clearly in the box.
Yeah.
Should have been called. I think a lot of the UEFA Lona fans, the haters of Barcelona who say that Barcelona gets some favoritism for them, are saying, well, it's about time. But honestly, no, that's as clear as day for me. I know referee, he gets one chance to look at it, but no, it ended up.
You would have made that call. You're a referee.
I would have. Yeah, I would have been like, well, it's totally handball. Yeah, it's a big game, and that ultimately decided it. They only had a couple minutes left, and then Messi had the subsequent free kick and missed it. And shock result.
Absolutely.
Manchester City, they made club history. never been as well. They already made it this season. Never been to a quarterfinal. Made it to a semifinal. Beat PSG 1-0 at the Etihad through Kevin De Bruyne. What's interesting about this tie is we had two great players miss PKs. Ibrahimovic in the first one, and then Kun Aguero in the most recent one. What the heck's going on? He put his clear wide, and I'm like, you would put 9 out of 10. Bet the house that Aguero would score, and he didn't. And then we had Bayern defeat Benfica on aggregate. Not so exciting, not impressive either. It was 3-2. Bayern could do a little better, but I still think they're resolute in how they play, and they're still a big threat. They're still one of the big names. They've always been big names. So though we have Madrid, both Madrids, Atletico and Real, and then we have Bayern, and we have Manchester City. I never thought I'd say Manchester City, but here they are.
There they are.
Now,
There.
the World Cup.
The World Cup.
So I was watching an interview. It was the Alexi Lalas, his U.S. Commentator, a correspondent, talking to World Cup president, newly elected Gianni Infantino. And back in November, before he was elected, he said, if I am, I'll expand the World Cup format from 32 to 40 teams. And of course, he got elected. And in that interview, I said, he's still serious about this.
Yeah.
What do you think? 40 teams in the World Cup finals.
You know, I don't like it, especially for the World Cup. You mean, it's the same old thing. Why fix something if it's not broken? I mean,
that's right.
It brings in so much money every single time. I don't know why you would want to bring it out. I mean, you're going to have worse teams in there. They're going to struggle. You know, granted, even some teams get into the World Cup as it is now, who sometimes don't deserve it.
No, I mean, you talk about, the host nation gets in, unlike South Africa, Bafana, not very good. Historically not very good.
I mean, it's just going to make less competitive games.
I think it
disenchants
disenchants the reward of getting to the finals.
Yeah.
And the qualifying process is going to look
That's gonna be
horrifying
a mess.
almost.
That's going to be a mess.
And some people, even in the Euros, take it for granted. The Euro Cup just recently went from 16 to 24. We'll see how that works out in the summer. And I have this. Europe itself, UEFA has 54 teams in their conference. So 24 to 54, that's almost, you're nearing half.
You are, yeah.
With how many teams? Half you're going to get in, half aren't going to get out. I mean,
it's
I don't
not
understand.
as big of an accomplishment.
Exactly.
Granted, they probably aren't going to go to the finals once they get in, but it's just less of an accomplishment to get in. And I mean, we saw the same conversation for the NCAA tournament when they expanded. They still continue to try to expand with like the first 4 in and whatnot.
Sure.
Granted, college you're a little more big scale in terms of number of teams or whatnot, but I think at this stage you're talking the world.
You're talking the world.
Frickin' cup here, guys.
And they're already saying South America in particular, they have 10 places. He said 5 are guaranteed. So he's already saying half
there you go.
are guaranteed. I don't know. Yes, there's money. Doesn't mean the best football is played.
Yeah.
You're right. Well, we're going to see. Big teams are also going to take qualification for granted. Holland did that with, granted they played poorly, but they did that, maybe we'll ease by, we have enough games.
Sure.
Not to be. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic.
It is. And it is interesting.
We'll see how it goes, but
selecting regions too, that's questionable.
Oh, that's going to be a mess. But we're going to touch on something real quick. Lorel, ISUTV's Lorel Feeks was going to be on this segment, but she decided she was too good for us. So we're going to talk about her topic instead.
Yeah, exactly.
We kind of mentioned it last time we were on last week here
right.
on KURE Sports on ISUTV. The pay gap between
the
US
massive pay gap,
women's national team and the men's national team. I think we have a graphic displaying that for you guys out there. It's just an insane gap.
It is an insane gap. I mean, she has friendlies that ended a win for women against a FIFA-ranked team.
Yeah.
1 in 10 results. 1,350 a player.
Yes.
And she has men earn 5,000 for a loss individually. 8,125 for a tie, and if they ever win, 17,625 for a win. For a tie for 18,125 and for a win. Unbelievable. So she has World Cup place, and I've seen this too. $75,000 a player for women.
For the women, yeah.
For the men, $390,625.
What?
Now here, I could see, for devil's advocate, I guess I play it. It is harder to get into the men's, I would say, because there are there is a massive amount of teams. However, it doesn't take away from the quality of the women, or the competition or anything. So that is ridiculous.
It is.
That is absolutely insane how those numbers cannot
especially, we're looking at the American team here, and they've been so dominant.
Oh, absolutely. So
And
influential
so
on the world game
influential.
and in the domestically.
I mean, you see how many young girls are trying to get into soccer
Mm-hmm.
these days and trying to become like the U.S. women's national team, who has done so well on the global stage. And the fact that they're getting so vastly underpaid. Sure, you could get underpaid if your team brings in a little less revenue or
Right.
whatnot. If it was a small gap or something like that, that's just basic
We're
economics.
talking
but
world champions, though.
these are world champions that bring in way more numbers. They bring
Mm-hmm.
in way more fans than the men's team, and it's being drastically undercut.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable.
And this one's interesting too. The women, they won the World Cup and they earned $2 million. The men lost in the round of 16 and won $8 million. And the German men's national team won the World Cup and won $35 million. Now, I know there's a lot more invested in that, but that's still no. You can't have
There's
that.
a big gap.
And in that same interview, Gianni Infantino, the president, he mentioned that too. He mentioned something needed to be done, but you say something needs to be done, but you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like a quick thing, but
No.
the recognition needs to be there. They're
does.
fantastic.
It does.
And imagine. I think Laurel made the point last time. Imagine how well they'd be doing if you paid them well. If they were properly paid, then they're doing so great now.
Yeah, I mean,
But then what?
There are rumors of potentially a strike here coming
Yeah,
up soon.
yeah.
So we'll definitely watch out for that. And
Absolutely.
of course, you can always come back to KURE Sports on ISUtv for all your news on that. We'll be back next week. Want to thank you all for tuning in. I'm Taylor Mankle for Andreas, Haffar, Alex Crowl, Michael Murrell, Mary Rominger, and of course Matt Barker and Jake Stevens for hopping on the show today, and all of our fantastic crew here at ISUtv signing off.